Do. Story time! Okay. I made the mistake today of leaving the house. I know better. I just needed to go get a few things at the store and it would be fine. It would be fine, they said. I lied to myself. Do you know what time it is? It's the end of the month. Do you know what day it was? The last Wednesday of the month. Do you know what checks go into people's bank accounts? The old people checks. When I got to the dollar store, the place was packed. The place was packed. I should have just turned around and gone right home, but I didn't. And I almost got into a head-on collision today because of it. So, okay, so there is the main road that comes out of the parking lot, right? And then goes this way. This way is the other road, right? So the parking lot's here. Okay, the main road is here. The parking lot road comes out this way, right? Now there's a little like off-ramp if you're going that way. If I'm going that way, which I was. So there's a bunch of cars here, and I take the little off-ramp to go this way. We go down the road. Some delusional lunatic pulls into the out. Pulls into the off-ramp where I am currently. And I'm like, it's one way, because it's one way. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? With as many hand gestures as my inability for, American Sign Language can give me. And the passenger in the other vehicle is looking at his driver like, dude, what the fuck? The windows are up. And the driver's like, I fucked up, I'm sorry. Like, thankfully, it was wide enough, like, 2 vehicles could pass without the twain touching. But, yeah. If he was any faster, that would have been a fucking head-on collision, and it wouldn't have been my fault. Anyway, so, after that, I immediately went home. And, yeah, so... you guys remember that episode of South Park where the senior citizens are getting out of church? And I don't remember which one, it's been 30 years. One of the characters is like running down the street, screaming at everyone to, get inside, get inside. The seniors are coming, and it's like just a mad dash for cover. And they get into this old house and they're on like the 2nd floor. And one of them like, we'll be safe up here. And then the wall behind them collapses and there's like 2 senior citizens in a car. And one of them's like, I told you to take a left, Harold! Quit nagging me, you won't bat! Yeah, that's what it was like going to the store today. Whew. So yeah, near-death experience. I am going to listen to something a little bit different just because I just realized I hadn't listened to it yet. It's the next episode of Nature Predators by Space Paladin by Adsters. I'm really bad with names. So yeah, I'm gonna listen to that and then we're gonna go back into Dracula, if that's okay. This is only 17 minutes, something like that, so it shouldn't be that long. So I need to rebuild the bobbin. Alrighty. Yeah, we'll listen to that first.
Fiction subject, Slonic.
And then we'll get into Dracula.
Dead. Standardized human time, November 27th, 2136. The shuttle was crammed full of predators, so much so that several humans were standing throughout the long ride. I was lucky that I could come up with myself, man. The red-haired vegetarian had a sleepy glint in his eyes. I hadn't seen this much apprehension, not even during the Gene Cradle's chaos. Something about the tillfish seemed to inspire fear in Terrans without an apparent reason. The super ocean was visible on the horizon as we descended on the sole continent of planet Silis. The Terran pilots appeared to be half expecting the natives to shoot our transport down. The United Nations had officially accepted the Tillfish surrender. Today, this was the start of bringing their territory under human control. It was possible that we'd see combat, but on paper, our interactions should be restricted to civilian policing. Marcel grew restless after Earth's raid, especially once he heard that my redeployment was requested. There was no hesitation from me to put in formal consent papers to the Venlo government. Oddly enough, I'd begun to feel comfortable around the rowdy predators. Living in close quarters with grown beasts was the new normal. The anti-instinct training made me feel empowered for the first time in my life, and I wanted to prove that I was a changed man. It is awesome that my buddy has recovered and decided to come with me. After what the crocodile did, the fund is out of the question. I cleared my throat. What do you think about places like the Tillfish being predators, Mars? We haven't really talked about it.
It makes a lot more sense than everyone but us and the Greys being obligate herbivores.
Marcel growled.
They're not predators, Sonic. And it doesn't change the fact that they participated in murdering people.
I straightened my blinders with a paw. Maybe it's possible to reverse the cure, though. Humans already started studying the Ajit genome. Once the latest broadcast arrived back on Earth, it was plastered across every news feed. Terran discussion panels had mixed opinions on alien technology, but the cure was something all of them lambasted. The Kolshians found themselves vying for public enemy number one. Even the more xenophobic humans considered allies with any converted race that would take the fight to Martha. Whatever ties the Venlil still had to the Federation, the conspiracy reframed our stance. How could the Federation mastermind such a heinous crime as altering species identity for centuries? None of their atrocities had ever been defensible in my eyes. Their intentions were good. Every act of bigotry was an attempt to protect their citizens from a malevolent enemy. Marcel inspected my faraway
Fucking whore!
I feel sorry for the cure.
Take a drink every time I stab myself with a sewing needle.
There's some things about humans that bother me, but I tried to accept you. I said, what right do I have to impose my evolution on you? To erase your history and beliefs? These species lost everything that makes them, well, themselves.
You're right. It's a cultural genocide that was thoroughly executed without anyone's knowledge or consent. They should to humanity if they found us before the answer.
I couldn't imagine the predators reduced to terrified prey, stripped of the resilience and aggression that defined them. It wasn't clear to me if violent instincts could be written out of the human genome, or how the Kolshians might have worked around the binocular eyes. Would cultural indoctrination stick to such a strong-willed species? The Terran transport touched down on a landing pad following Tillfish signals. I was relieved that we'd set this spacecraft on the ground rather than jumping out of it. The UN troops unloaded, grimacing as wind gusts buffeted their faces. Seas was known for its storms, which was filled by a panther lasser. A lone Tillfish waited for us, scuttling back and forth with anxiety.
Hello, humans. I brought gifts.
The insectoid gestured with one of her 6 legs to fruit baskets, which included local jams and preserves. She cowered her glistening head as several Terrans trained guns on her. Her antennae quivered, anticipating her swift demise. The poor thing was surrounded by predators. Forward-facing eyes were angled at her in all directions. Why did her species send her here alone? This is cruel. Thanks for the gifts. Who are you? I asked. Tears bordered her smooth eyes.
I'm General Burla. Ambassador Dwell made me come. I am the only one who, voted against Earth attack.
The UN soldiers relaxed, but shared a few rattled glances of their own. Several were huddling near the shuttle, distancing themselves from Burla. His arm stood upright, and he ruffled my ears. I asked him for across from the Tillfish.
Sonic, what are you doing?
The human hissed. My ears pinned back. Face your fears, right? That's what I did with you. This is no different. General Burla bent lower to the ground, unable to look the human in the eye. A ripple passed through Marcel's throat before he narrowed his pupils. The human extended a trembling hand, keeping his palm flat. The Tillfish had been breeding mannerisms because she placed a delicate leg atop his fingers.
Well, at least someone on this rock has a conscience.
The vegetarian wheezed, jerking his arm back.
Where can we set up shop? With any luck, the grand occupation will get rolled back soon.
Bala flicked her antennae in the city's direction.
Follow me, please. There's a few things you should know.
Marcel tucked his hands behind his back, trying to look formal as the squad leader. The medals on his chest were recent adornments. The new Secretary General issued them to anyone wounded in defense of Earth or the Cradle. I couldn't think of anyone who deserved a commendation more than my friend. Go on, he's listening, I chimed in. Is there something to be concerned about, General? Berla clicked her mandibles.
We're having trouble with unrest and dissidents. Mass protests. Many people don't want a human invasion.
Marcel raised his eyebrows.
That doesn't surprise me at all. How bad is it?
The exterminators pulled together some rogue generals. They're offering a bounty for every human killed. We deal with it, but the surrendering members complied with your disarmament demands.
And the anti-human factions carried over their weapons, leaving your government with no way to stop them.
Exactly. Look, protesting is violent. There's demonstrations everywhere, like I said. I don't know if you allow such things, but...
Last I checked, the UN affirms the right to free speech. But we may impose martial law until things settle down.
The Telfish General shuddered with relief before climbing onto a monorail train. The insectoid retreated to the furthest corner as the Terrans piled in, and automated doors sealed it in the tight space. Marcel ensured that all equipment was brought aboard before leaning against the wall. I nuzzled his elbow, desperate for attention. The human smiled as he tickled my chin.
You can
I repeated with a devious ear flick. What if I told the Telfish want to kill me?
You wouldn't.
I didn't respond, turning to the window with a contented stare. Marcel withdrew his hand, crossing his arms with an irritated huff. The vegetarian noted the mirth in my eyes as the supersonic train hurtled along, but the playfulness seeped out of my demeanor once I caught glimpses of the chaos. Judging by the corpses in the streets, stampeding began prior to our arrival. The human soldiers peered out of the windows, though the carnage was an unfocused blur. Bringing a predator military to our homeworld inspired panic, especially for the stated purpose of an occupation. The grisly sight reminded me of the Cradle when we rescued Nulia. Whatever the Telfish once were, this is not hunter behavior. The public sure isn't lumping themselves in with the humans. General Berla twisted her antennae, scrutinizing the predator's responses. I half expected Marcel to stop the train and rush off to help the victims. Instead, the red-haired human pursed his lips with discomfort. Our top priority was subduing the populace and making the area safe for Terran travel. The train glided to its stopping point, a terminal which emptied into a city square. The humans continued to gawk at the scenery while clutching their guns tighter. Telfish protesters were packed into the square. The ones that hadn't fled the settlement came out as a welcoming party. Insect bodies spanned as far as the eye could see.
Good grief. We've got to get them to disperse.
Marcel muttered.
A gathering of this size, in our faces.
The vegetarian conferred with several comrades before the grunts began assembling equipment. I hoped there was no lethal weaponry in their cache. These were civilians exercising sapient rights Earth-mandated. It would disappoint me if humanity began their reign by squashing all expression. General Berla clicked her mandibles.
You need a way through the crowd. We saved armored vehicles for you. Please, no massacre.
Will humans even fit in your trucks?
Marcel asked with raised eyebrows.
I can't imagine your sitting arrangements are meant for us. These trinities look like step stools with 6 tiny holes inserted.
We replaced the upholstery with biped-designed seats, like we used with Van Lille, our Koshian guests.
The Terran soldiers locked some sort of speaker out of the train. The predators clambered atop a vehicle's hood and secured the acoustic device to the roof. Marcel hopped into the flatbed, which I took as my cue to follow. These trucks were not self-driving like the ones on Earth. Another human moved behind the wheel. Tillfish protesters jeered at the sight of us. Several individuals sported homemade exterminator gear. Waiters and matches were among the weapons I saw. My human shouted for every friendly to stay behind the truck before bringing a microphone to his mouth.
Please return to your homes.
Marcel barked.
Martial law is in effect until further notice. Public gatherings are not permitted until the United Nations has secured the area. Locally sanctioned curfews will be enforced.
Die, predator scum!
A voice shrieked. More followed in quick succession.
We're not like you, no matter what any Colchian says. I will not be your cattle.
Human filth don't belong on sillies. Burn!
Chants of burn swept across the gathering, and the agitated protesters closed on our position. This was no longer about sapient rights. The situation changed the second they threatened my friends.
Cock-a-doodle, ooh, it's high-fiber Kellogg's cereal. So, how high in fiber is it exactly? Very. It says it right there on the box.
That's scientifically proven. Very.
Nobody was going to torch my human alive. The thought of him suffering again twisted my heart. The blinders were helpful in narrowing the scope of the incident. I focused on compartmentalizing my emotions, listening
Okay,
to
I'm
facts
gonna
to
have to
myself.
put
We were the
a
ones
piece
with
under
guns,
this.
backed by a predator army. Even if the situation worsened, all I needed to do was pick off a single target. You can do this, Sonic. Your fear does not control your actions. You want to protect Mars. I raised my gun with a steady grip, but Marcel's eyes widened in alarm. He pushed the barrel down with a palm, shaking his head. My ears pinned back, not sure why the human stopped me from defending myself. Wasn't that what they wanted me to do?
Killing should be a last resort.
The vegetarian hissed.
Always. Life is a precious thing. Non-lethal options are going to be exhausted first.
Marcel fiddled with the settings on his speaker. There was nothing audible to my sensitive ears, but waves of tellfish halted in their tracks. The insect began clutching audio sensors, and some vomited. The device must be concentrating amplified sound in a narrow beam. None of the humans behind the truck were affected. There was the verdict. Terrans recognized everything. Marcel, as gentle as he was disorder from the beginning. I imagined he'd also brought other tools in case the sonic attack didn't work. There's always a contingency. UN soldiers began firing grenades into the crowd, which milky gas into the air. I wondered if it was a at first. The effects kicked in almost immediately, leaving soldiers crying and coughing. Several stepped out of the gas cloud in a leaping panic. I winced with sympathy at the collapsed bodies, recognizing that they were in severe pain. Perhaps the unruly tellfish would take this as proof of human cruelty, but I saw it for what it was. It was an attempt to incapacitate a hostile group without any desire to kill civilians. These measures flourished on Earth due to the violence of Terran stampedes. Marcel cleared his throat.
Please disperse. We do not wish to arrest or harm anyone. A designated time will be set to air grievances in a civilized manner.
The vegetarian spoke in an impassive voice, like this was an orderly decree. Some tellfish heeded his warning this time, trying to escape the jam-packed square. The agonizing weapons must have made them rethink swarming the predator's locale. The humans took the crowd's disorientation as a chance to push forward. Our vehicles rolled ahead with a line of soldiers leading the way. UN guards in stampede gear began grabbing a few tillfish and wrangled them into custody. Unwilling insects were hauled away from their friends, shrieking and writhing. Marcel repeated his warning about the planet being under Terran control. The sight of advancing predators bulked up from head to toe was enough to spark flight responses in all but the boldest few. With the civilians flushed out of our immediate vicinity, we could find a campsite.
You are efficient.
General Berlin decided.
Much more organized than the Greys. And you took prisoners.
Humor flickered in my human's eyes.
We're not going to execute people off the streets, if that's what you're implying. Our job is to stabilize the region and integrate cities as a UN vassal.
What does our planet look like under your rule? I worry about being beholden to predators. Especially if we are what they say. We might regress.
Annexation comes with certain rights and privileges, unlike total war. We're not forcing anyone to modify their lifestyle or beliefs.
For all the baseless fears of human predation being contagious, not a single Ven Lil in the exchange program developed an appetite for murder. What I had been forced to do was broaden my horizons. Earth was untamed and dangerous. The perilous environment helped me modify my beliefs. The idea of controlling my instincts and tolerating some risk became palatable. I achieved feats I didn't know were possible for someone of a meek disposition. Humans challenged my preconceptions at every turn. Their friendship and their empathy. How my bond with Marcel was close as family. That impacted me more than binocular eyes ever could. Getting paired with Marcel is the best thing that ever happened to me, I said. He's patient and kind. You can trust him. The human bared his teeth.
Thanks, buddy. We make a good team.
Our exchange hadn't convinced the Tillfish General, but I saw hope in her story. A single official had the conviction to stand up for the predators, to believe that they deserved to live. Silius had been relinquished without a drop of bloodshed so far. Even if it was a disproportionate balance, some civilians could come around. Marcel outlined plans for humanity to cement a foothold in the city and gather a tally of its populace. The masses were in shock from Selena's interview. They needed help deriving meaning. We'd spend a few days getting settled before we reclaimed rogue areas. Havens for anti-human extermination officers and military leaders were the real issue. Clearing those territories might be where the Terrans summoned their lethal arsenal. The United Nations would have this newly conquered world brought to heel, one way or another.
Shoppers Beauty Plus event. Discover more points. Shop now at
Back to Dracula.
Imagine a natural wonder.
Oh no, this is
tackle the climate crisis.
Here we go.
Wetlands. They help with. Whether you want to increase sales, generate leads, or build brand awareness, Google Ads can help you.
Dr. Sue.
Okay, now that that's out of the way, we're going back to Dracula and putting it on 1.25 speed so we can get through this a little bit faster tonight. Yeah. Ugh, my hair's a mess. And, okay, Dracula is in England, and Lucy has just died. And that's where we are.
Woods Diary. 22nd of September. It is all over.
There.
Arthur has gone back to Ring and has taken Quincy Morris with him. What a fine fellow is Quincy. I believe in my heart of hearts that he suffered as much about Lucy's death as any of us, but he bore himself through it like a moral Viking. If America can go on breeding men like that, she will be a power in the world indeed. Van Helsing is lying down, having a rest preparatory to his journey. He goes over to Amsterdam tonight, but says he returns tomorrow night. That he only wants to make some arrangements which can only be made personally. He's to stop with me then, if he can. He says he has work to do in London, which may take him some time. Poor old fellow. I fear that the strain of the past week has broken down even his iron strength. All the time of the burial he was, I could see, putting some terrible restraint on himself. When it was all over, he was standing beside Arthur, who, poor fellow, was speaking of his part in the operation where his blood had been transfused to his Lucy's veins. I could see Van Helsing's face grow white and purple by turns. Arthur was saying that he felt since then as if they too had been really married, and that she was his wife in the sight of God. None of us said a word of the other operations, and none of us ever shall. Arthur and Quincy went away together to the station, and Van Helsing and I came on here. The moment we were alone in the carriage, he gave way to a regular fit of hysterics. He has denied to me since that it was hysterics and insisted that it was only his sense of humour asserting itself under very terrible conditions. He laughed till he cried, and I had to draw down the blinds lest anyone should see us and misjudge. And then he cried till he laughed again, and laughed and cried together, just as a woman does. I tried to be stern with him, as one is to a woman under the circumstances.
Oh, shut
It
up.
had no effect. Men and women are so different in manifestations of nervous strength or weakness. Then, when his face grew grave and stern again, I asked him why his mirth and why at such time. His reply was in a way characteristic of him. It was logical and forceful and mysterious. He said, you don't comprehend, friend John. You do not think that I am not sad though I laugh. See, I have cried even when the laugh did choke me. But no more think that I am all sorry when I cry, for the laugh he come just the same. Keep it always with you that laughter who knock at your door and say, "May I come in?" is not the true laughter. No, he is a king and he come when and how he like. He ask no person, he choose no time of suitability. He say, I am here. Behold, in example, I breathe my heart out for that so sweet young girl. I give my blood for her, though I'm old and worn. I give my time, my skill, my sleep. I let my other sufferers want, that so she may have all. And yet, I can laugh at her very grave. Laugh when the clay from the spade of the sexton drop upon her coffin and say, thud, thud to my heart till it send back the blood from my cheek. My heart bleed for that poor boy, that dear boy, so of the age of my own boy, had I been so blessed that he lived, and with his hair and eyes the same. There, you know now why I love him so, and yet when you say things that touch my husband's heart to the quick, and make my father heart yearn to him as to no other man, not even to you, friend John, for we are more level in experiences than father and son, yet even at such moment King Laugh he come to me and shout and bellow in my ear, here I am, till the blood come dance back and bring some of the sunshine that he carry with him to my cheek. Oh, friend John, it is a strange world, a sad world, a world full of miseries and woes and troubles. And yet, when King Laugh come, he make them all dance to the tune he play. Bleeding hearts and dry bones of the churchyard, and tears that burn as they fall, all dance together to the music that he make with that smileless mouth of him. And believe me, friend John, that he has got to come and kind. We men and women are like ropes drawn tight with strain that pull us different ways. Then tears come, and like the rain on the ropes, they brace us up, until perhaps the strain become too great, and we break. But King Laugh, he come like the sunshine, and ease off the strain again, and we bear to go on with our labor, what it may be. I did not like to wound him by pretending not to see his idea, but as I did not yet understand the cause of his laughter, I asked him. As he answered me, his face grew stern, and he said in quite a different tone, oh, it was the grim irony of it all. The so lovely lady, garlanded with flowers that looked so fair as life, till one by one we wondered if she were truly dead. She laid in that so fine marble house in that lonely churchyard, where rest so many of her kin, laid there with the mother who loved her and to whom she loved, and that sacred bell going toll, 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 so sad and slow, and those holy men with the white garments of the angel, pretending to read books and it all the time, their eyes never on the page, and all us with the bowed head. And all for what? She is dead. So, is it not? Well, for the life of me, Professor, I said, I can't see anything to laugh at in all that. Why, your explanation makes it a harder puzzle than before. But even if the burial service was comic, what about poor Art and his trouble? Why, his heart was simply breaking. Just so. Said he not that the transfusion of his blood to her veins had made her truly his bride? Yes, and it was a sweet and comforting idea for him. Quite so. But there was a difficulty, friend John. If so, then what about the others?
Hello, welcome to the live stream.
Then this
I'm working on a
is
giant
giant
Pokemon
is
squid.
My poor wife dead to me, but alive by church's law. Oh no, it's all gone.
Hey everyone!
Even I, who am faithful
Doing some
husband, is
sewing.
now no wife. I'm bigamist. I don't see where the joke comes in there either, I said. And I did not feel particularly pleased with him for saying such things. He laid his hand on my arm and said, Friend John, forgive me if I pain. I showed not my feeling to others when it would wound, but only to you, my old friend, whom I can trust. If you could have looked into my very heart, that when I want to laugh, if you could have done so when the laughter arrived, if you could do so now, when King laugh of back up his crown and all that is to him,
My hands.
will he go far, far away from me for a long, long time. Maybe you would perhaps pity me the most of all. I was touched by the tenderness of his tone, and asked why. Because I know. And now, we're all scattered. And for many a long day, loneliness will sit over our roofs with brooding wings. Lucy lies in the tomb of her kin, a lordly death house in a lonely churchyard, away from teeming London.
I almost get in a head-on collision today.
The sun rises over Hampstead Hill,
Mm-hmm.
and where wildflowers grow
my
of their own
favorite.
accord.
I hope I never get any closer than that.
So, I can finish this diary. And God only knows if I shall ever begin another. If I do, or if I ever open this thing again, it will be to deal with different people and different themes. For here, at the end, where the romance of my life is told, here I go back to take up the thread of my life work. I say sadly, and without hope, Finis.
Thank you for the thumbs up. You are seen and appreciated.
The Westminster Gazette, 25th of September. A Hampstead
Motherfucker. Ah.
history.
That's 3. Take another shot.
The neighbourhood of Hampstead Heath is just at present exercised in a series of events which seem to run on lines parallel to those of what was known to the writers of headlines as the Kensington Horror, or the Stabbing Woman, or the Woman in Black. During the past 2 or 3 days, several cases have occurred of young children straying from home or neglecting to return from their playing on the heath. In all these cases, the children were too young to give any properly intelligible account of themselves, but the consensus of their excuses is that they had been with a Luther lady. It has always been late in the evening when they have been missed.
Hey everyone!
On 2 occasions, the children are not being found until early in the following morning. It is generally supposed in the neighbourhood that, as the first child missing gave us his reason for being away that a Luther lady had asked him to come for a walk, the others had picked up the phrase and used it as occasion served. This is the more natural, as the favourite game of the little ones at present is luring each other away by wiles. The correspondent writes us that to see some of the tiny tots pretending to be the Luther lady is supremely funny. Some of our caricaturists might, he says, take a lesson in the irony of grotesque by comparing the reality.
Now you're talking normal speed.
It is only in accordance with general principles of human nature that
I have them on
the
fast
Luther
forward.
lady should be the popular role at these al fresco performances. Our correspondent naively says that even Ellen Terry could not be so winningly attractive as some of these grubby-faced little children pretend, and even imagine themselves to be. There is, however, possibly a serious side to the question. Some of the children, indeed all who have been missed at night, have been slightly torn or wounded in the throat. The wounds seem such as might be made by a rat or a small dog, and although of not much importance individually, would tend to show that whatever animal inflicts them has a system or method of its own. The police of the division have been instructed to keep a sharp lookout for straying children, especially when very young, in and around Hampstead Heath, and for any stray dog which may be about. The Westminster Gazette, 25th of September. Extra special.
Extra
Hampstead
special.
Horror.
Ooh.
Another child injured. The Belutha lady. They have just received intelligence that another child, missed last night, was only discovered late in the morning under a furze bush at the Shooters Hill side of Hampstead Heath, which is, perhaps, less frequented than the other parts. It has the same tiny wound in the throat as has been noticed in other cases. It was terribly weak and looked quite emaciated. It too, when partially restored, had the common story to tell of being lured away by the Bloofer lady.
I'm not sure what he's saying. I keep hearing Lutha, and I know that's wrong. Ooh. Now you can tell that I have it sped up a little bit. I should go to there, and that'll leave me hopefully with enough room to turn everything, and we'll alright, almost there.
Chapter 14. Mina Harker's Journal. 23rd of September. Jonathan is better after a bad night.
Hello.
I'm so glad that he has plenty of work to do, for that keeps his mind off the terrible things, and I am rejoiced that he is now weighed down with the responsibility of his new position. I knew he would be true to himself, and now how proud I am to see my Jonathan rising to the height of his advancement, and keeping pace in all ways with the duties that come upon him.
Got more stitches. No, it's fine.
Day till late, for he said he could not lunch at home. My household work is done, so I shall take his foreign journal, and lock myself up in my room, and read it.
Alrighty, let's see how she looks.
24th of September.
Big reveal.
I hadn't the heart to write last night. For that terrible record of Jonathan's upset me so. Oh, dear. How he must have suffered. Whether it be true or only imagination. I wonder if there's any truth in it at all. Did he get his brain fever and then write all those terrible things? Or had he some cause for it all? I suppose I shall never know, for I dare not open the subject to him, and yet that man we saw yesterday. He seemed quite certain of him. Poor fellow. I suppose it was the funeral that upset him and sent his mind back on some train of thought. He believes it all himself. I remember how on our wedding day he said, "Unless some solemn duty come upon me to go back to the bitter hours, asleep or awake, mad or sane." There seems to be through it all some thread of continuity. That fearful Count was coming to London. If it should be, and he came to London with its teeming millions, there may be a solemn duty, and if it come, we must not shrink from it. I shall be prepared. I shall get my typewriter this very hour and begin transcribing. Then we shall be ready for other eyes if required. And if it be wanted,
I knew there was another one in there.
Perhaps, if I am ready,
I'll count them.
Jonathan may not be upset, for I can speak for him and never let him be troubled or worried with it all. If ever Jonathan quite gets over the nervousness, he may want to tell me of it all, and I can ask him questions and find out things, and see how I may comfort him.
Oh, yeah. Come on, you. Come on.
Letter. Van Helsing to Mrs. Harker.
There we go.
24th of September. Confidence. Dear Madam,
There we go.
I pray you to pardon my writing.
There we go.
That I am so far friend as that I sent to you sad news of Miss Lucy Westerner's death. By the kindness of Lord Godalming, I am empowered to read her letters and papers, for I am deeply concerned about certain matters vitally important.
There we go.
To find some letters from you.
There we go.
Show how great friends you were and how you love her. Oh,
God.
Mina,
You look at these legs.
I implore you.
Look at the leg. Look at the leg. How long this bitch is. One length.
To redress,
Two length.
to lift much,
Three length. 3 lengths of my arm is this long leg.
May it be that I see you.
See if I can.
You can trust me. And friend of Dr. Johnson.
Let's see now.
Lord
Come on, you stupid thing.
Arthur of his solution. I must keep it private for the present from all. I should come to Exeter to see you at once if you tell me I'm privileged to come. and where, and when.
Oh shit, it's still on the ground.
Pardon, madam. I have read your letters
Giant
upon
squid.
Lucy and know how good you are and how your husband suffered.
Now I gotta stuff him.
So I pray you, if it may be, enlighten him not, lest it may harm. Again,
Okay, now he's off the ground.
forgive me.
Long boy.
Van Helsing.
Well, don't want to waste the fabric. Pardon my butt.
Telegram. Mrs. Harker to Van Helsing.
Okay,
25th of September.
you can go over here.
Come today by 10:15 train if you can catch it. I can see you anytime you call. Wilhelmina Harker. Mina Harker's Journal. 25th of September. I cannot help feeling terribly excited as the time draws near for the visit of Dr. Van Helsing. For somehow I expect that it will throw some light upon Jonathan's sad experience. And as he attended poor dear Lucy in her last illness, he can tell me all about her.
Oh,
That
I
is
don't
the
think I
reason
can.
he's coming.
Shit, I didn't make it wide enough. I can't fist him.
Damn it. And I shall never know the real truth now. How silly I am. That awful journal gets hold of my imagination and tinges everything with something of its own colour. Of course, it is about Lucy. That habit came back to the poor dear, and that awful night on the cliff must have made her ill. I'd almost forgotten in my own affairs how ill she was afterwards. She must have told him of her sleepwalking adventure on the cliff. He told him all about it. Now he wants me to tell him about it, so that he may understand. I hope I did right in not saying anything of it to Mrs. Westford. I should never forgive myself if any act of mine, not even a negative one, brought harm on poor dear
I need
Lucy.
a stick.
I hope, too, Dr. Van Helsing will not blame me.
Yeah, I need a
I've
stick.
had so much trouble and anxiety of late that I feel I cannot bear more just at present. I suppose a cry does us all good at times. It clears the air as of the rain. Perhaps it was reading the journal yesterday that upset me, and then Jonathan went away this morning to stay away from me a whole day and night.
Maybe this will
The
work.
first time we've been parted since our marriage. I do hope the dear fellow will take care of himself, and that nothing will occur to upset him. It is 2 o'clock, and the doctor will be here soon now. I shall say nothing of Jonathan's journal unless he asks me. I am so glad I have typewritten out my own journals that in case he asks about Lucy, I can hand it to him. It will save much questioning. Later. He's gone and gone. Ugh, what a strange meeting, and how it all makes my head whirl round. I feel like we're in a dream. Can it be all possible, or even a part of it? If I had not read Jonathan's journal first, I should never have accepted even a possibility. Poor dear Jonathan. How he must have suffered. Please, the good God, don't this may not upset him again. I shall try to save him from it. But it may be even a consolation and a help to him, terrible though it be and awful in its consequences, to know for certain that his eyes and ears and brain did not deceive him, and that it is all true. It may be that it is the doubt which haunts him, that when the doubt is removed, no matter which, waking or dreaming, may prove the truth, he will be more satisfied and better able to bear the shock. Dr. Van Helsing must be a good man as well as a clever one, if he is Arthur's friend and Dr. Seward's, and if they brought him all the way from Holland to look after Lucy. I think Van Helsing knew that he is good and kind, noble nature. When he comes to her, I shall ask him about Jonathan. And then, please God, that this sorrow and anxiety may lead to a good end. I used to think I would like to practice interviewing. Jonathan's friend on the Exeter News told him that memory was everything in such work, and that you must be able to put down exactly almost every word spoken, even if you had to refine some of it afterwards. Here was a rare interview. I should try to record it verbatim. It was 2:30 when the knock came. I took my courage, added on, and waited. In a few minutes, Mary opened the door and announced Dr. Van Helsing. I rose and bowed, and he came towards me. A man of medium height, strongly built, with his shoulders set back over a broad, deep chest, and a neck well balanced on the trunk as the head is on the neck. The poise of the head strikes one at once as indicative of thought and power. The head is noble, well-sized, broad, and enlarge that.
It's a noble head that's well-sized, like.
There was a hard, square chin, a large, resolute, mobile mouth, a good size
Hope his mouth is mobile.
but with quick,
He's
sensitive
eating out of a straw.
boredom as the big, bushy brows come down and the mouth tightens. The forehead, broad and fine, rising at first, almost straight, and then sloping back with two bumps or ridges wide apart. Such a forehead that the reddish hair cannot possibly tumble over it, but falls naturally back into the sides. Big, dark blue eyes are set widely apart, and are quick and tender, or stern with the man's moods.
It's getting there.
Mrs. Harker, is it not? I bowed assent. It was Miss Mina Murray. Again, I assented. It is Mina Murray that I came to see. The poor dear child, Lucy Westerner. Madame Mina, it's on account of the debt. I come. Sir, I said, you could have no better claim on me than that you were a friend and helper of Lucy Westerner. And I held out my hand. He took it and said tenderly, "Oh, Madame Mina, I knew the friend of that poor lily girl must be good. I had yet to learn." He finished his speech with a courtly bow. I asked him what it was that he wanted to see me about, so he at once began. "I have read your letters to Miss Lucy. Forgive me, but I had to begin to inquire something, and there was none to ask. I know that you were with her at Whitby. She sometimes kept a diary. You need not look surprised, Madame Mina. It was begun after you had left, and was made in imitation of you. And in that diary she traces by inference certain things to a sleepwalking, in which she puts down that you saved her. In great perplexity, then, I come to you, and ask you, out of your so much kindness, to tell me all of it that you remember. I can tell you, I think, Dr. Van Helsing, all about it." "Ah, then you have good memory for facts, for details. It is not always so with young ladies."
Jerk.
"No, Doctor, but I wrote it all down at the time. I can show it to you if you like." "Oh, Madame Mina, I will be grateful. You will do me much favor." I could not resist the temptation of mystifying him a bit. I suppose it is some of the taste of the original apple that remains still in our mouths. So I handed him the shorthand diary. He took it with a grateful bow and said, "May I read it?" "If you wish," I answered as demurely as I could. He opened it, and for an instant his face fell. Then he stood up and bowed. "Oh, you so clever woman," he said. "I long knew that Mr. Jonathan was a man of much thankfulness. But see, his wife have all the good things. And will you not so much honor me and so help me as to read it for me? Alas, I know not the shorthand." By this time, my little joke was over, and I was almost ashamed. So I took the typewritten copy from my work basket and handed it to him. "Forgive me," I said. I could not help it. But I'd been thinking that it was a dear Lucy that you wished to ask, and so that you might not have to wait. Not on my account, but because I know your time is precious. I have written it out on the typewriter for you. He took it, and his eyes glistened. "You are so good," he said. "And may I read it now? I want to ask you some things when I have read." "By all means," I said. "Read it over whilst I order lunch, and then you can ask me questions whilst we eat." He bowed, and settled himself in a chair with his back to the light, and began as I went to say after lunch, chiefly in order that he might not be disturbed. When I came back, I found him walking hurriedly up and down the room, his face all ablaze with excitement. He rushed up to me and took me by both hands. "Oh, Madame Mina," he said, "how can I say what I owe to you? This paper is a sunshine. It opens the gate to me. I am dazed, I am dazzled, so much light, and yet clouds roll in behind the light every time."
Alright. The body stuffed. Yes, it looks like a giant butt plug. It can't be helped.
"Oh,
I need to make some eyes.
You so clever woman. Madam," he said this very solemnly, "if ever Abraham Van Helsing can do anything for you or yours, I trust you will let me know. It will be pleasure and delight if I may serve you as a friend. As a friend, with all I've ever learned, all I can ever do, shall be for you and those you love. There are darknesses in life, and there are lights. You are one of the lights."
see this
You'll
somewhere.
have happy life and good life. And your husband will be blessed in you. But doctor, you praise me too much. You do not know me. Not know you? I, who am old, who have studied all my life, men and women. I, who have made my speciality the brain and all that belongs to him and all that flows from him. And I have read your diary that you have so goodly written to me, and which breathes out truth in every line. I, who have read your so sweet letter to poor Lucy of your marriage and your trust, not to know you. Oh, Madame Mina, good women tell all their lives, and by day, by hour, by minute, such things that angels hate. And the men who wish to know have something of the angel's eye. Your husband is noble nature, and you are noble too, for you trust, and trust cannot be where there is mean nature. And your husband, tell me of him.
Where is...
Is he quite well?
Nope.
Is all that fever gone? Is he strong?
He's gone crazy.
I saw here an opening to ask him about Jonathan. So I said...
Where is it?
He was almost recovered. But he's been greatly upset by Mr. Hawkins' death. He interrupted. Oh, yes, I know. I have read your last two letters.
Where is it?
I went on.
Oh, there it is.
I suppose this upset him. But when we were in town on Thursday last, he had a sort of shock. A shock? And after brain fever so soon. That was not good.
Where is
What
it?
kind of shock was it? He thought he saw someone who recalled something terrible. Something which led to his brain fever. And here the whole thing seemed to overwhelm me in a rush. The pity of Jonathan, the horror which he experienced, the whole fearful mystery of his diary.
Can't find the thing. Found the thing.
Since, all came in a tumult. I suppose I was hysterical. For I threw myself on my knees and held up my hands to him and implored him to make my husband well again.
Where
He
is...
took my hands and raised me up. He made me sit on the sofa and sat by me.
I lost the pencil that
My
quick.
hand in his.
I've not gone anywhere.
Said to me with such infinite sweetness. My life is a barren and lonely one, and so full of work that I have not had much time for friendships.
Come here. Where is it?
Since I have been summoned to here by my friend John Seward, I have known so many good people and seen such...
I haven't gone anywhere. Where the hell is it?
And it has grown with my advancing years. The loneliness of my life. Believe me, then, that I come here full of respect for you. And you have given me hope.
That'll work.
What I am seeking of, but that there are good women still left to make life happy. Good women, whose lives and whose truths will make a good lesson for the children that are to be. I am
That's
glad,
kind of creepy.
glad that I may here be of some use to you. For if your husband suffer, you suffer with of my stay and experience. I promise you that I will gladly do all for him that I can. To make his life strong and manly.
Tell him about the book.
Your life be happy.
Tell him about the book.
Now, you must eat. You are overboard, perhaps over anxious. Husband Jonathan would not like to see you so pale. And what he like not where he love is not to his good. Therefore, for his sake, you must eat and smile. You have told me all about Lucy, and so now we shall not speak of it, lest it distress. I shall stay in Exeter tonight. I want to think much on what you have told me. When I have thought, I will ask you questions, if I may. And then, too, you will tell me of husband Jonathan's troubles so far as you can.
Give him the book. Save me a chapter. Give him the book.
Afterwards, you shall tell me all.
I am so far away. Can anybody see me?
After lunch, when we went back to the
Not
dorm,
really.
he said to me, and now, tell me all about him. It came to speaking to this great, learned man. I began to fear that he would think me a weak fool, and Jonathan a madman. That journey was all so strange, and I hesitated to go on. But he was so sweet and kind. He had promised to help, and I trusted him. So I said, Dr. Van Helsing, what I have to tell you is so queer that you must not laugh at me or at my husband. I have been since yesterday in a sort of fever of doubt. You must be kind to me and not think me foolish that I've even half believed some very strange things. He reassured me by his manner as well as his words, when he said, Oh, my dear,
If you only knew how strange is the matter regarding which I am here, it is you who would laugh. I have learned not to think little of anyone's belief, no matter how strange it be. I have tried to keep an open mind. It is not the ordinary things of life that could close it, but the strange things, the extraordinary things, the things that make one doubt if they be mad or sane. Thank you 1,000 times. You have taken a weight off my mind. If you will let me, I shall give you a paper to read. It is long, but I have written it out. It will tell you my trouble and Jonathan's. It is the copy of his journal when abroad, and all that happened.
Ooh.
I dare not say anything of it. You will read for yourself and judge. And then when I see you, perhaps you will be very kind and tell me what you think. I promise, he said, as I gave him the papers. I shall in the morning, so soon as I can, come to see you and your husband, if I may. Jonathan will be here at 11:30. You must come to lunch with us and see him there. You could catch the quick 3:34 train, which will leave you at Paddington before 8. He was surprised at my knowledge of the trains offhand. But he does not know that I have made up all the trains to and from Exeter, so that I may help Jonathan in case he is in a hurry. So I took the papers with him and went away. I see you're thinking.
My God, actual doing the smart thing.
I don't know what.
They actually did the thing.
Letter, by hand. Van Helsing to Mrs. Harker. 25th of September, 6 o'clock. Dear Madam Mina, I have read your husband's so wonderful diary. You may sleep without doubt. Strange and terrible as it is true. I will pledge my life to it. It may be worse for others, but for him and you, there is no threat. He is a noble fellow, and let me tell you from experience that one who would go down a hole of that room. Aye, and going a second time is not one shock. His brain and his heart are all right. This I swear, before I have even seen so much rest. I shall have much to ask him of other things. I am blessed that today I come to see. I have learned all at once so much that again I am puzzled. Puzzled more I am. But I must think.
Think.
Yours, most faithful. Letter. Mrs. Harker to Van Helsing. 25th of September, 6:30 p.m. My dear Dr. Van Helsing, 1,000 thanks for your kind letter. It has taken a great weight off my mind. And yet, if it be true, what terrible things there are in the world, and what an awful thing that man, that monster, be really in London. I fear to think. I have this moment whilst writing had a wire from Jonathan, saying that he leaves by the 6:25 tonight from Lounston, and will be here at 10:18, so that I shall have no fear tonight.
Oh, wait, no.
Will you, therefore, instead of lunching with us, please come to breakfast at 8 o'clock, if this be not too early for you? You can get away, if you're in a hurry, by the 10:30 train, which will bring you to Paddington by 2:35. Do not answer this, as I shall take with us, if I do not hear. You will come to breakfast. Believe me, your faithful, grateful friend, Mina Harker. Jonathan Harker's journal.
That bomb's a lot better. Popped out a bit, but that's okay.
I thought never to write in this diary again, but the time has come. When I got home last night, Mina had supper ready, and when we had supped, she told me of Van Helsing's visit, and of her having given him the 2 diaries copied out, and of how anxious she was being about me. She showed me in the doctor's letter that all I wrote down was true. It seems to have made a new man of me. It was the doubt as to the reality of the whole thing that knocked me over. I felt impotent and in the dark and distrustful. But now that I know, I'm not afraid, even of the Count. He has succeeded, after all, then in his design in getting to London, and it was he I saw. He's got younger. And how? Van Helsing is the man to unmask him and hunt him out, if he is anything like what Mina says. We sat late and talked it all over. Mina is dressing, and I shall call at the hotel in a few minutes and bring him over. Yes, I think. Surprised to see him. When I came into the room where he was and introduced myself, he took me by the shoulder and turned my face round to the lines and said, after a sharp scrutiny, "But Madame Mina told me you were ill. But you were unsure." It was so funny to hear my wife called Madame Mina by this kindly, strong-faced old man. I smiled and said, "I was ill. I have had shock. But you have cured me already. And now, by your letter to me, I was in doubt, and then everything took you of unreality. I did not know what to trust, even the evidence of my own senses. Not knowing what to trust, I did not know what to do. And so I had only to keep on working what appeared to be the groove of my life. The groove ceased to avail me, and I mistrusted myself. Doctor, you don't know what it is to doubt everything, even yourself. No, you don't. You couldn't with eyebrows like yours." He seemed pleased and laughed as he said, "So, you are physiognomist. I learn more here with each hour. I am with so much
Eyebrows like yours!
at breakfast, and no, sir, you will pardon praise from an old man, but you are blessed in your wife." Otherwise, he didn't go on praising Mina for a day, so I simply nodded and stood silent. "She is one of God's women, fashioned by his own hand to show us men and other women that there is a heaven where we can enter, and that its light can be here on earth. So true, so sweet, so noble, so little and egoist, and perhaps, let me tell you, is much in this age so skeptical and selfish.
Shit, come on here.
And you, sir, I have read all the letters to poor Miss Lucy, and some of them speak of you. So I know you since some days from the knowing of others. But I have seen your true self since last night. You will give me your hand, will you not? And let us be friends for all our lives." We shook hands. He was so earnest and so kind that it made me quite choking. "And now," he said, "may I ask you for some more help? I have a great task to do, and at the beginning it is to know. You can help me here. Can you tell me what went before your going to Transylvania? Later on I may ask more help, and of a different kind. But at first, this will do. Look here, sir," I said. "Does what you have to do concern the cat?" "It does," he said solemnly. "Then I am with you heart and soul. As you go by the 10:30 train, you'll not have time to read them, but I shall get the bundle of papers. You can take them with you and read them in the train." After breakfast, I saw him to the station. When we were parting, he said, "Perhaps you will come to town if I send to you, and take Madame Mina too." "We shall both come when you will," I said. I had got him the morning papers and the London papers of the previous night, and while we were talking at the carriage window, waiting for the train to start, he was turning them over. His eyes suddenly seemed to catch something in one of them, the Westminster Gazette. I knew it by the colour, and he grew quite white. He read something intently, groaning to himself. Mein Gott, so soon. So soon."
Rustle this boy in the
I
plane.
think he remembered me at the moment. Just then the whistle blew, and the train moved off. This recalled him to himself, and he leaned out of the window and waved his hand, calling out, "Love to Madame Mina. I shall write so soon as ever I can." Dr. Seward's diary, 26th of September.
Wait, does this mean they're gonna
It's
have to
no
fight
such
and kill
thing as
Lucy?
finality.
Yeah, it will.
Not a week since I said finis, and yet here I am starting fresh again. Or rather, going on with the same record. Until this afternoon, I had no cause to think of what he's done. Renfield had become, to all intents, as sane as he ever was. He was already well ahead with his fly business, and he had just started in the spider line also, so he had not been any trouble to me. I had a letter from Arthur, which was on Sunday, and from it I gathered he is bearing up wonderfully well.
Pardon my butt.
With him, and that is much of a help, for he himself is a bubbling well of good spirits. Quincy wrote me a line too, and from him I hear that Arthur is beginning to recover something of his old buoyancy. So as to them, all my mind is at rest. As for myself, I was settling down to my work with the enthusiasm which I used to have for it, so that I might fairly have said that the wound which poor Lucy left on me was becoming cicatrized. Everything is, however, now reopened. And what is to be the end, God only knows. I have an idea that Van Helsing thinks he knows too, but he will only let out enough at a time to whet curiosity. He went to Exeter yesterday and stayed there all night. Today he came back and almost bounded into the room at about 5:30 and thrust last night's Westminster Gazette into my hand. "What do you think of that?" he asked as he stood back and folded his arms. I looked over the paper, but I really didn't know what he meant. He took it from me and pointed out a paragraph about children
legs.
he coined away at Hampstead. It did not come very much to me until I reached a passage where it described small punctured wounds on their throats. An idea struck me, and I looked up. "Well," he said, "it is like poor Lucy's. And what do you make of it?" "Simply that there is some cause in common. And whatever it was that injured her has injured them." I did not quite understand his answer. "That is true indirectly, but not directly." "How do you mean, Professor?" I asked. I was a little inclined to take his seriousness lightly. For, after all, 4 days of rest and freedom from burning, harrowing anxiety does help to restore one's spirits.
I mean, that's true,
When I saw
yeah.
his face, it sobered me. Never, even in the midst of our despair about poor Lucy, had he looked more stern. "Tell me," I said. "I can hazard no opinion. I do not know what to think. I have no data on which to found a conjecture." "Do you mean to tell me, friend John, that you have no suspicion as to what poor Lucy died of? But after all the hints given, not only by events, but by me, of nervous prostration, following on great loss or waste of blood. And how the blood loss or waste?" I shook my head. He stepped over and sat down beside me and went on. "You are a clever man, friend John. You reason well, and your wit is bold. But you are too prejudiced. You do not let your eyes see, nor your ears hear. And that which is outside your daily life is not an account to you. Do you not think that there are things which you cannot understand, and yet which are? That some people see things that others cannot? But there are things old and new which must not be contemplated by men's eyes because they know, or think they know, some things which other men have told them. It is the fault of our science that it wants to explain all, and if it explain not, then it says there is nothing to explain. But yet we see around us every day the growth of new beliefs, which think themselves new, and which are yet but the old which pretend to be young, like the fine ladies at the opera.
Ooh,
Suppose now you do not believe in corporeal transference. No, nor in materialization. No, nor in astral bodies. No, nor in the reading of thought. No, nor in hypnotism. Yes, I said. Charcot has proved that pretty well. He smiled as he went on. Then you are satisfied as to it, yes? And of course, then you understand how it acts. You can follow the mind of the great Charcot, unless that he is no more, into the very soul of the patient that he influenced. No? Then, friend John, am I to take it that you simply accept fact, and are satisfied to let from premise to conclusion be a blank? No. Then tell me, for I am student of the brain, how you accept the hypnotism and reject the thought-reading. Let me tell you, my friend, that there are things done today in electrical science which would have been deemed unholy by the very men who discovered electricity, who would themselves not so long before have been burned as wizards. There are always mysteries in life. Why was it that Methuselah lived 900 years, and old Pa 169? And yet that poor Lucy, with 4 men's blood in her poor veins, could not live even one day. Or had she lived one more day, we could have saved her. Do you know all the mystery of life and death? Do you know the altogether of comparative anatomy, and can say wherefore the qualities of brutes are in some men and not in others? And you tell me why, when other spiders die small and soon, that one great spider lived for centuries in the tower of the old Spanish church, and grew till, on descending, he could drink the oil of all the church lamps. And you tell me why in the circus, aye, and elsewhere, there are bats that come at night and open the veins of cattle and horses and suck dry their veins. How in some islands of the western seas there are bats which hang on the trees all day, that those who have seen describe as like giant nuts or pods, and that when the sailors sleep on the deck, because that it is hot, flit down on them, and then in the morning are found dead men, white as even Miss Lucy was. Good God, Professor, I said, starting up. Do you mean to tell me that Lucy was bitten by such a bat? And that such a thing is here in London in the 19th century? He waved his hand for silence and went on. Can you tell me why the tortoise lives more long than generations of men? Why the elephant goes on till he have seen dynasted, and why the parrots never die only of bite of cat or dog or other complaint? Can you tell me why men believe in all ages and places that there are some few who live on always, if they be permit, that there are men and women who cannot die? We all know, because science has vouched for the fact, that there have been toads shut up in rocks for thousands of years, shut in one so small that only hold him since the youth of the world. Can you tell me how the Indian fakir can make himself to die and have been buried, and his grave sealed and corn sowed on it, and the corn reaped and be cut and sown and reaped and cut again, and then the men come and take away the unbroken seal, and that there lie the Indian fakir not dead, but that rise up and walk amongst them as before? Here, I interrupted him. I was getting bewildered. He so crowded on my mind his list of nature's eccentricities and possible impossibilities that my imagination was getting fired. I had a dim idea that he was teaching me some lesson, as long ago he used to in his study at Amsterdam. But he used them to tell me the thing, so that I could have the object of thought in mind all the time. But now I was without this help. Yet I wanted to follow him. So I said, Professor, let me be your pet student again. Tell me the thesis, so that I may apply your knowledge as you go on. At present I'm going in my mind from point to point as a madman, and not a sane one follows an idea. I feel like a novice, blundering through a bog in a mist, jumping from one tussock to another in the mere blind effort to move on without knowing where I'm going. Earth is a good image, he said. Well, I shall tell you. My thesis is this. I want you to believe. To believe what? Believe in things that you cannot. Let me illustrate. I had heard once of an American who so defined faith, that which enables us to believe things which we know to be untrue. For one, I follow that man. He meant that we shall have an open mind, and not let a little bit of truth check the rush of a big truth, like a small rock does a railway truck. We get the small truth first. Good. We keep him, and we value him. But all the same, we must not let him think himself all the truth with us. Then you want me to not let some previous conviction injure the receptivity of my mind with regard to some strange matter? Do I read your lesson about it? Ah, you are my favorite pupil still. It is worth to teach you. Now that you are willing to understand, you have taken the first step to understand. You think, then, that those so small holes in the children's throats were made by the same that made the hole in Miss Lucy? I suppose so. He stood up and said solemnly, Then you are wrong. Oh, would it were so, but alas, no. It is worse. Far, far worse. In God's name, Professor Van Helsing, what do you mean? I cried. He threw himself with a despairing gesture into a chair and placed his elbows on the table, covering his face with his hands as he spoke. They were made by Miss Lucy.
Dun dun dun. Mad piano. So close. I gotta measure this bitch. There we go. Let's see how long this guy is.
Chapter 15. Dr. Seward's diary. Continued. For a while, sheer anger mastered me. It was as if being during her life struck Lucy on the face. I smote the table hard and rose up as I said to her, Dr. Van Helsing, are you mad? He raised his head and looked at me, and somehow the tenderness of his face calmed me at once. Would I were, he said. Madness were easy to bear compared with truth like this. Oh, my friend. Why, think you, did I go so far round? Why take so long to tell you so simple a thing? Was it
Okay.
because I hate you and have hated
The
you
body
all
is
my life?
23.
Was it because I wished to give you pain? Was it that I wanted now so
His
late?
leg.
Revenge for that time when you saved my life, and from a fearful death. No.
Okay.
Forgive me,
60.
said I. He went on. My friend. It was because I wished to be gentle in the breaking.
70.
I
5. 75.
So sweet, lady.
75.
But
23.
even yes, I do not expect you to believe. It is so hard to accept at once any abstract truth. But we make out such to be possible when we have always believed the no of it. It is more hard still to accept so sad a concrete truth and of such a one as Miss Lucy. Tonight, I go to prove it. Dare you come with me? This staggered me. A man does not like to prove such a truth. Byron accepted from the category jealousy. And prove the very truth he most abhorred.
73.
He saw my
Plus
hesitation and spoke.
23.
The logic
96.
is simple. No madman's logic this time. Jumping from tussock to tussock in a misty bog.
This boy's 8
If it
foot
be not
long.
true, then proof
8 foot.
will be relief. At worst, it will not harm. If it be true,
Okay, I missed the stitch.
there is the dredge. If any dredge should help my cause, for in it is some need of belief.
Can't have anything perfect, but
Come, I tell you what I propose.
put a couple of
First,
stitches
that we
in
go
there.
off now and see that child in hospital. Dr. Vincent of the North Hospital, where the papers say the child is a friend of mine. And I think of yours, since you were in class at Amsterdam. He will let 2 scientists see his case. He will not let 2 friends. We shall tell him nothing, but only that we wish to learn. And then, he took a key from his pocket and held it up. And then we spend the night, you and I, in the churchyard where Lucy lies. This is the key that locked the tomb. I had it from the coffin lamp to give to Arthur. My heart sank within me, for I felt there was some fearful ordeal before us. I could do nothing, however. So I
Hi,
plucked up
sweetie.
what heart I could and said that we had better hasten, as the afternoon was passing.
Alright. Hi,
Found
baby.
the child awake. It had had a sleep and taken some food, and altogether it was going on well. Dr. Vincent took the bandages throat and showed us the punctures.
Baby,
There was no mistaking the similarity to those which had been on Lucy's throat.
come here.
They were smaller,
Kitty
the
break.
edges looked fresher. That was all. We asked Vincent to what he attributed them, and he replied that it must have been a bite of some animal, perhaps a rabbit. But for his own part, he
All
was
right,
inclined
kitty
to
break.
think it was one of the bats which are so numerous on the northern heights of London. Out of so many harmless ones, he said, there may be some wild specimen from the south of a more malignant species. Some sailor may have brought one home and it managed to escape, or even from the zoological gardens a young one may have got loose. Or one
There we go.
bred there from a vampire. These things do occur, you know. Only 10 days ago, a wolf got out and was, I believe, traced up in this direction. For a week after, the children were playing nothing but Red Riding Hood on the heath, and in every alley in the place until this bloofer lady came along.
Alright, I'm gonna take a little 5-minute break and then we're gonna get on to the next sewing project. Ghetto needs some lovin's. Oh, honey. Honey, I can start to feel your bones. How old are you now? I know you were a senior citizen years ago. You gotta be getting up there. That's okay. I still love you. Want to get on the table? Everybody see you. How handsome you are. Alright. If you're still actually watching, go take a break, use the washroom, get some snacks. Alrighty. Maybe get your pajamas on. Whatever makes you comfy. It is time. Oh, I get it. Keeping them entertained. All they can see is your fluffy tail. I have to find the pattern. And I don't know where to look. Alright, let us continue. If you're still hanging around. No, everybody left. I'm sorry. I'm back now.
Since when it has been quite a gala time with them. Even this poor little mite, when he woke up today, asked the nurse if he might go away. When she asked him where he wanted to go, he said he wanted to play with the Blue lady. I hope, said Van Helsing, that when you are sending the child home, you will caution his parents to keep strict watch over it. These fancies to stray are most dangerous. And if the child were to remain out another night, it would probably be fatal. But in any case, I suppose you will not let it wait for some days. Certainly not. Not for a week, days. Longer if the wound is not healed. Our visit to the hospital took more time than we had reckoned on, and the sun had dipped before we came out. When Van Helsing saw how dark it was, he said, "There is no hurry. It is more late than I thought. Come, let us seek somewhere that we may eat, and then we shall go on our way." We dined at Jack Straw's castle, along with a little crowd of bicyclists and others who were genially noisy. About 10 o'clock we started from the inn. It was then very dark, and the scattered lamps made the darkness greater when we were once outside their individual radius. The professor had evidently noted the road we were to go, for he went on unhesitatingly. But as for me, I was in quite a mix-up as to locality. As we went further, we met fewer and fewer people, till at last we were somewhat surprised when we met even the horse police going their usual suburban round. At last, we reached the wall of the churchyard, which we climbed over.
Have you seen it?
With some little difficulty,
sassy boy.
It was very dark, and the whole place seemed so strange to us. We found the west road too. The professor took the key, opened the creaky door, and standing back, politely, but quite unconsciously, motioned me to precede him. There was a delicious irony in the offer, in the courtliness of giving preference on such a ghastly occasion. My companion followed me quickly, and cautiously drew the door to, after carefully ascertaining that the lock was a falling and not a spring. In the latter case, we should have been in that plight. Then he fumbled in his bag, and taking out a matchbox and a piece of candle, proceeded to make a light. The tomb in the daytime, and when wreathed with fresh flowers, it looked grim and gruesome enough.
You didn't have orange, damn it!
Now, some days afterwards, when the flowers hung lank and dead, their whites turned to rust and their greens to browns, when the spider and the beetle had resumed their accustomed dominance, when time discoloured stone, dust-encrusted mortar, and rusty dank iron and tarnished brass and clouded silver plating gave back the feeble glimmer of a candle.
I have something like this, but pink, and it has all of my patterns in it, and I have no idea where it is.
Conveyed insistently the idea that life, animal life, is not the only thing which can pass away. Van Helsing went about his work systematically, holding his candle so that he could read the coffin plates, and so holding it that the sperm dropped in white patches which congealed as they touched the metal. He made assurance of Lucy's coffin. Another search in his bag, and he took out a turn screw. "What are you going to do?" I asked. "To open the coffin. You shall yet be convinced." Straight away he began taking out the screws, and finally lifted off the lid, showing the casing of lead beneath. The sight was almost too much for me. It seemed to be as much an affront to the dead as it would have been to have stripped off her clothing in her sleep whilst living. I actually took hold of his hand to stop him. He only said, "You shall see." And again, fumbling in his bag, took out a tiny fret saw, striking the turn screw through the lead with a swift downward stab, which made me wince. He made a small hole, which was, however, big enough to admit the point of the saw. I expected a rush of gas from the weak old corpse. We doctors, who have had to study our dangers, have to become accustomed to such things, and I drew back towards the door. But the professor never stopped for a moment. He soared down a couple of feet along one side of the lead coffin, and then across and down the other side.
Hi, welcome back. I'm looking for my shit.
Pointed back towards the foot of the coffin, and holding up the candle.
I have one of these.
Motioned to me to look.
It has patterns in it. I don't know where it is.
And looked. The coffin was empty. It was certainly a surprise to me and gave me a considerable shock. But Van Helsing was unmoved. He was now more sure than ever of his ground and so emboldened to proceed in his task. Are you satisfied now, friend John? He asked. I felt all the dogged argumentativeness of my nature awake within me as I answered him. I am satisfied that Lucy's body is not in that coffin, but that only proves one thing. And what is that, friend John? That it is not there. That is good logic, he said, so far as it goes. But how can you, account for it not being there? Perhaps a body snatcher, I suggested. Some of the Undertaker's people may have stolen it. I felt that I was speaking folly, and yet it was the only real cause which I could suggest. The professor sighed. Well, he said, we must have more proof. Come with me. He put on the coffin lid again, gathered up all his things and placed them in the bag, blew out the light, and placed the candle also in the bag. We opened the door and went out. Behind us, he closed the door and locked it. He handed me the key, saying, well, you keep it. You had better be a steward.
I don't know where it is, and it has all of my pattern
Cheerful
pieces.
laugh, I'm proud to say. As I motioned him to
I don't know
keep
what to do.
it. The key is nothing, I said. There may be duplicates. Anyhow, it is not difficult to pick a lock of that kind. He said nothing, but put the key in his pocket. Then he told me to watch at one side of the churchyard, whilst he would watch at the other. I took up my place behind a yew tree, and saw his dark figure move until the intervening headstones and trees hid it from my sight. It was a lonely vigil. Just after I'd taken my place, I heard a distant clock strike 12, and in time came 1 and 2. I was chilled and unnerved, and angry with the professor for taking me on such an errand, with myself for coming. I was too cold and too sleepy to be keenly observant, and not sleepy enough to betray my trust. So altogether, I had a dreary, miserable time. Suddenly, as I turned round, I thought I saw something like a white streak moving between 2 dark yew trees at the side of the churchyard, farthest from the tomb. At the same time, a dark mass moved on the professor's side of the ground and hurriedly went towards it. Then I too moved, but I had to go round headstones and railed off tombs, and I stumbled over graves. The sky was overcast, and somewhere far off an early cock crew. A little way off, behind a line of scattered juniper trees which marked the pathway to the church, a white, dim figure flitted in the direction of the tomb. The tomb itself was hidden by trees, and I could not see where the figure disappeared. I heard the rustle of actual movement when I had first seen a white figure, and coming over, found the professor holding in his arms a tiny child. When he saw me, he held it out to me and said, "Are you satisfied now?" "No," I said in a way that I felt was aggressive. "Do you not see the child?" "Yes, it is a child, but who brought it here? And is it wounded?" I asked. "We shall see," said the professor. And with one impulse, we took our way out of the churchyard, he carrying the sleeping child. When we had got some little distance away, we went into a clump of trees and struck a match, and looked at the child's throat. It was without a scratch or scar of any kind. "Was I right?" I asked triumphantly. "We were just in time," said the professor thankfully. We had now to decide what we were to do with the child, and so consulted about it. If we were to take it to a police station, we should have to give some account of our movements during the night. At least, we should have to make some statement as to how we had come to find the child. So finally, we decided that we would take it to the heath, and when we heard a policeman coming, leave it where he could not fail to find it. We would then seek our way home as quickly as we could. All fell out well. At the edge of Hampstead Heath, we heard a policeman's heavy tramp, and laying the child on a pathway, we waited and watched until he saw it as he flashed his lantern to and fro. I heard his exclamation of astonishment, and then we went away silently. By good chance, I got a cab at the Spaniards and drove to town.
What did I miss?
I cannot sleep, so I make this entry. I must try to get a few hours sleep, as Van Helsing is to call for me at noon. He insists that I shall go with him on another expedition.
Chapter 15.
27th of September.
Here we go.
It was 2 o'clock before we found a suitable opportunity for our attempt. The funeral held at noon was all completed, and the last stragglers of the mourners had taken themselves lazily away, when, looking carefully from behind a clump of alder trees, we saw the sexton lock the gate after him. We knew then that we were safe till morning, had been decided. The professor told that we should not want more than an hour at most. Again, I felt that horrid sense of the reality of things, in which any effort of imagination seemed out of place. And I realized distinctly the perils of the law which we were incurring in our unhallowed work. Besides, I felt it was all so useless. Outrageous as it was to open a leaden coffin, to see a woman dead nearly a week or really dead, it now seemed the height of folly to open the tomb again when we knew, from the evidence of our own eyesight, that the coffin was empty. I shrugged my shoulders, however.
Cthulhu!
Van Helsing had a way of going on his own road, no matter who remonstrated. He took
Little
the key,
bat.
opened the vault, and again courteously motioned me to proceed.
The bat is missing.
Oh, how utterly mean looking when the sunshine streamed
The
in.
bat is missing.
Van Helsing walked over to Lucy's coffin and I followed. He bent over, and again forced back the leaden flange. And then a shock of surprise and dismay shot through me. There lay Lucy, seemingly just as we had seen her the night before her funeral. She was, if possible, more radiantly beautiful than ever, and I could not believe that she was dead. Her lips were red, redder than before, and on the cheeks was a delicate bloom. Is this a juggle? I said to him. Are you convinced now? Said the professor in response. This is so. He put over his hand, and in a way that made me shudder, pulled back the dead lips and showed me the white teeth. See, he went on. See, they are even sharper than before. With this and this, and he touched one of the front teeth, and that glowed. The little children can be bitten. Are you of the belief now, friend John? A small argumentative hostility woke within me. I could not accept such an overwhelming idea as he suggested, so, with an attempt to argue, of which I was even at the moment ashamed, I said, she may have been placed here last night. Indeed. That is so, and by whom? I do not know. Someone has done it. And yet she has been dead 1 week. Most peoples in that time would not look so. I had no answer for this, so was silent. Van Helsing did not seem to notice my silence. At any rate, he showed neither chagrin nor
God
triumph.
damn it. I don't even know if I can
He was
reprint
looking
it.
intently at the face of the dead woman, raising the eyelids and looking at the
See, this is the one I have, and I doubled the size. Because that's the original size. No, that's a half size.
There is one thing which is different from all recorded. There is some dual life that is not as the common. She was bitten by the vampire when she was in a trance, sleepwalking. Oh, you start. You did not know that, friend John. But you shall know it all later. And in trance, you best come to take more of the light. In trance, she died. And in trance, she is undead, too. So it is that she differ from all other. Usually, when the undead sleep at home, as he spoke, he made a comprehensive sweep of his arm to designate what vampire at home. Their face show what they are. It is so sweet that was, when she was undead, she'd go back to the nothings of the common undead. There is no malign there, see you. And so make it hard that I must kill her in sleep. The spirit went blood cold. It dawned upon me that I was accepting Van Helsing's theories. If she were really dead, what was there of terror in the idea of killing her? Then I saw the change in my face, where his said, almost joyously. Ah, you believe now. I answered. Do not press me too hard all at once. I am willing to accept.
Ah, I see it.
How will you do this bloody work? I shall cut off her head and fill her mouth with garlic, and I shall drive a stake through her body. It made me shudder to think of so mutilating the body of the woman whom I had loved, and yet the feeling was not so strong as I had expected. I was, in fact, beginning to shudder at the presence of this being, this undead, as Van Helsing called it, and to loathe it. Is it possible that love is all subjective, or all objective? I waited a considerable time for Van Helsing to begin, but he stirred as if wrapped in thought. Presently he closed the catch of his bag with a snap and said, I have been thinking, and have made up my mind as to what is best. If I did simply follow my inclining, I would do now, at this moment, what is to be done. But there are other things to follow, and things that are 1,000 times more difficult in that than we do not know. This is simple. She hath yet no life taken, though that is of time, and to act now would be to take danger from her forever. But then, we may have to want Arthur. How shall we tell him of this? If you, who saw the wounds on Lucy's throat,
Okay, that's a
and
head.
saw wounds so
That's
similar
it.
on Charles at the hospital, if you, who saw the coffin empty last night and full today with a woman who have not changed only to be more rose
Here.
and more beautiful in a whole
Okay.
week after she died, if you know of this, and know of the white figure last night that brought the child to the churchyard, and yet your own senses you did not believe, how then can I expect Arthur, who know none of those things, to believe? He doubted me when I took him from her kiss when she was dying. I know he has forgiven me, because in some mistaken idea, I have done things that make him say goodbye as he ought. And you may think that in some more mistaken idea, this woman was buried alive. But that's the most mistake of all. He will then argue back that it is we, mistaken ones, that have killed her by our ideas. And so he will be much unhappy always. Yet he never can be sure, and that is the worst of all. He will sometimes think that she he loved was buried alive, and that will paint his dreams with horrors of what she must have suffered. And again, he will think that we may be right, and that his so beloved was, after all, an undead. No. I told him
You
once,
don't run away from me.
and since then I learned much. Oh, since I know it's all true, 100,000 times more do I know that he must pass through the bitter waters to reach the sweet. He, poor fellow, must have 1 hour that will make the very face of heaven grow black to him. Then we can act for good all round and send him peace.
That's a stupid idea.
My mind is made up. Let us go. You return home for tonight to your asylum, and see that all be well. As for me, I shall spend the night here in this churchyard in my own way. Tomorrow night you will come to me, to the Berkeley Hotel at 10 of the clock. I shall send for Arthur to come too, and also that fine young man of America that gave his blood. Later, we shall all have work to do. I come with you so far as Piccadilly and there dine, for I must be back here before the sun sets.
Welcome back,
So
everyone.
we locked the tomb and came away, and got over the wall of the churchyard, which was not much of a task, and drove back to Piccadilly.
When I say 5 minutes next time, I'm gonna actually set like a little timer, so everybody
Note,
can get a little
left
break
by Van Helsing in his portmanteau. Berkeley Hotel.
without
Directed
missing book.
to John Seward, MD. Not delivered. 27th of September. Friend Trump. I write this in case anything should happen. I go alone to watch in that churchyard. It pleases me that the undead Miss Lucy shall not leave tonight, that so on the morrow night she may be more eager. Therefore I shall fix some things she like not, garlic and a crucifix, and so seal up the door of the tomb. She is young as undead and well heed. Moreover, These are only to prevent her coming out. They may not prevail on her wanting to get in. For then the undead is desperate, and must find the line of least resistance, whatsoever it may be. I shall be at hand all the night from sunset till after the sunrise. If there be aught that may be learned, I shall learn it. For Miss Lucy, or from her, I have no fear. But that other to whom is there that she is undead, he have now the power to seek her tomb and find shelter. He is cunning, as I know from Mr. Darcy, from the way that all along he told us when he played with us in his life. And we lost. And in many ways, the undead are strong. He hath always the strength in his hand of 20 men. Even we 4 who gave our strength to Miss Lucy, it also is all to him. Besides, he can summon his wolf, and I know not what. So if it be that he come thither on this night, he shall find me, but none other shall until it be too late. But it may be that he will not attempt the place. There is no reason why he should. His hunting ground is more full of game than the churchyard where the undead ones sleep, and one old man watch. Therefore, I write this in case. Take the papers that are with this, the diaries of Harker and the rest, and read them, and then find this great undead and cut off his head and burn his heart, or drive a stake through it, so that the world may rest from him. If it be so, farewell.
Fucking piece of shit. Remember why I stopped working on this. Piece of Taylor's truck is garbage.
Dr. Seward's diary, 28th of September. It is wonderful what a good night's sleep will do for one. Yesterday I was almost willing to accept Van Helsing's monstrous ideas, but now they seem to start out lurid before me as outrages on common sense. I have no doubt that he believes it all. I wonder if his mind can have become in any way unhinged. Surely there must be some rational explanation for all these mysterious things. Is it possible that the professor can have done it himself? He is so abnormally clever that if he went off his head, he would carry out his intent with regard to some fixed idea in a wonderful way. I loathe to think of it. Indeed, it would be almost as great a marvel as the other to find that Van Helsing wasn't mad. But anyhow, I shall watch him carefully. I may get some light on the mystery. 29th of September. Morning. Last night, at a little before 10 o'clock, Arthur and Quincy came into Van Helsing's room. He told us all that he wanted us to do, but especially addressing himself to Arthur, as if all our wills were centered in his.
Okay, that one's done.
He began by saying that he hoped we would all come with him too. For, he said, there is a grave duty to be done there. You were doubtless surprised at my letter. This query was directly addressed to Lord Goldenring. I was. It rather upset me for a bit. There has been so much trouble around my house of late that I could do without anymore. I've been curious, too, as to what you mean. Quincy and I talked it over, but the more we talked, the more puzzled we got. Until now I can say for myself that I'm about in a tree as to any meaning about anything. Me, too, said Quincy Morris laconically. Ah, said the professor, then you are nearer the beginning, both of you. And friend John here, who has to go a long way back before he can even get so far as to begin. It was evident that he recognized my return to my old doubting frame of mind without my saying a word. Then, turning to the other two, he said with intense gravity, I want your permission to do what I think good this night. It is, I know, much to ask. But when you know what it is I propose to do, you will know, and only then, how much. Therefore, may I ask that you promise me in the dark, so that afterwards, though you may be angry with me for a time, I must not disguise from myself the possibility that such may be. You shall not blame yourselves for anything. That's frank anyhow, broke in Quincy. I'll answer for the professor. I don't quite see his drift, but I swear he's honest, and that's good enough for me. I thank you, sir, said Van Helsing proudly. I have done myself the honor of counting you one trusting friend, and such endorsement is dear to me.
I have a feeling Quincy does.
Which Quincy took. Then Arthur spoke out. Dr. Van Helsing, I don't quite like to buy a pig in a poke, as they say in Scotland. And if it be anything in which my honour as a gentleman or my faith as a Christian is concerned, I cannot make such a promise. If you can assure me that what you intend does not violate either of these two, then I give my consent at once. And though for the life of me, I cannot understand what you are driving at. I accept your limitation, said Van Helsing. All I ask of you is that if you feel it necessary to condemn any act of mine, you will first consider it well, and to be satisfied that it does not violate your reservations. Agreed, said Arthur. That is only fair. And now that the pourparlers are over, may I ask what it is we are to do? I want you to come with me, and to come in secret, to the churchyard at King's Stead. Arthur's face fell, as he said in an amazed sort of way, "Where poor Lucy is buried?" The professor bowed. Arthur went on, "And when there, to enter the tomb." Arthur stood up. "Professor, are you in earnest? Or is it some monstrous joke?" "Pardon me, I see you are in earnest." He sat down again, but I could see that he sat firmly and proudly, as one who is on his dignity. There was silence until he asked again, "And when in the tomb, to open the coffin." "This is too much," he said, angrily rising again. "I am willing to be patient in all things that are reasonable, but in this desecration of the grave of one who..." He fairly choked with indignation. The professor looked pityingly at him. "If I could spare you one pang, my poor friend," he said, "God knows I would. But this night our feet must tread in thorny paths, or later and forever, the feet you love must walk in paths of flame." Arthur looked up with set white face and said, "Take care, sir, take care." "Would it not be well to hear what I have to say?" said Van Helsing. "And then you will at least know the limit of my purpose. Shall I go on?" "That's fair enough," broke in Horace.
Yeah, fair enough.
After a pause, Van Helsing went on, evidently with an effort. "Miss Lucy is dead. Is it not so?" "Yes, and there can be no wrong to her. But if she be not dead..." Arthur jumped to his feet. "Good God!" he cried. "What do you mean? Has there been any mistake? Has she been buried alive?" He groaned in anguish that not even hope could soften. "I did not say she was alive, my child. I did not think it. I go no further than to say that she might be undead." "Undead? Not alive? What do you mean? Is this all a nightmare, or what is it?" "There are mysteries which men can only guess at, which age by age they may solve only in part. Believe me, we are now on the verge of one. But I have not done. May I cut off the head of dead Miss Lucy?"
Dun dun dun.
"Heavens and earth, no!" cried Arthur in a storm of passion. "Not for the wide world will I consent to any mutilation of her dead body. Dr. Van Helsing, you try
Where'd
me
my
too
foot
far.
go?
What have I done to you that you should torture me so? What did that poor sweet girl do that you should want to cast such dishonor on her grave? Are you mad that speak such things? Or am I mad that
There
listen
it
to
is.
them?
Found it.
Don't dare to think more of such a desecration. I shall not give my consent to anything you do. I have a duty to do in protecting her grave from outrage, and by God, I shall do it." Van Helsing rose up from where he had all the time been seated, and said, gravely and sternly, "My Lord Godwin, I too have a duty to do, a duty to others, a duty to you, a duty to the dead. And by God, I shall do it. All I ask you now is that you come with me, that you look and listen. And if when later I make the same request you do not be more eager for its fulfillment even than I am, then I shall do my duty, whatever it may seem to me. And then, to follow with your lordship's wishes, I shall hold myself at your disposal to render account to you, when and where you will." His voice broke a little, and he went on with a voice full of pity. "But I beseech you, do not go forth in anger with me. In a long life of acts which were often not pleasant to do, and which sometimes did wring my heart, I have never had so heavy a task as now. Believe me that if the time comes for you to change your mind towards me, one look from you will wipe away all this so sad hour. But I would do what a man
One,
can
two,
to
three,
save
four.
you from sorrow. Just think. Why should I give myself so much of labor and so much of sorrow? I have come here for my own hand to do what I can of good. But first to please my friend John, and then to help a sweet young lady whom too I came to love. For her, I am ashamed to say so much, but I say it in kindness. I gave what you gave, the blood of my veins. I gave it. I, who was not like you, a lover, but only her physician and her friend. I gave to her my nights and days, before death, after death. And if my death can do her good even now, when she is the dead, undead, she shall have it freely. He said this with a very grave, sweet pride, and Arthur was much affected by it. He took the old man's hand and said, in a broken voice, "Oh, it is hard to look at it, and I cannot understand it. But at least I shall go with you. And
You don't have any bats made up? This pattern makes me nervous. I was dead. Ears, head, eye. How we doing? Commercial time!
Sooner than you think. Switch to winter tires for better traction and performance. Choose from 17 Toyota.
Oh, I hate
Toyota white
commercials.
tires at the right price, thanks to Toyota's price match promise.
Chapter we on?
Chapter 16.
Oh, 16.
Dr. Seward's Diary. Continued.
Can't believe we have another... What?
It was just a quarter before 12 o'clock when we
7-hour
got
video.
into the churchyard over the low wall. The night was dark, with occasional gleams of moonlight between the rents of the heavy clouds that skidded across the sky. We all kept somehow close together, with Van Helsing slightly in front as he led the way. When we had come close to the tomb, it looked well at Arthur. For I feared that the proximity to a place laden with so sorrowful a memory would upset him. But he bore himself very well. I took it that the very mystery of the proceeding was in some way a counteractant to his grief. The professor unlocked the door, and seeing a natural hesitation amongst us for various reasons, solved the difficulty by entering first himself. The rest of us followed. He closed the door. He then left the coffin.
30 minutes.
Arthur stepped forward.
And we've done for the night.
Van Helsing said to me, "You were with me here yesterday. Was the body of Miss Lucy in that coffin?" It was. The professor took the rest, saying, "You were here, and yet there is one who does not believe with me." He took his screwdriver, and again took off the lid of the coffin. Arthur looked on, very pale, but silent. When the lid was removed, he stepped forward. He evidently did not know that there was a lead in coffin, or at any rate had not thought of it. When he saw the rent in the lead, the blood rushed to his face for an instant, but as quickly fell away again, so that he remained of a ghastly whiteness. He was still silent. Van Helsing forced back the leaden flange, and we all looked in and recoiled. The coffin was empty. For several minutes, no one spoke a word. The silence was broken by Quincy Norris. "Professor, I answer for you. Your word is all I want. I wouldn't ask for such a thing ordinarily. I wouldn't so dishonor you as to imply a doubt. But this is a mystery that goes beyond any honor or dishonor. Is this your doing?" I swear to you by all that I hold sacred, that I have not removed nor touched her. What happened was this. 2 nights ago, my friend Seward and I came here, with good purpose, believe me. I opened that coffin, which was then sealed up, and we found it, as now, empty. I waited and saw something white come through the trees. The next day, we came here in daytime.
This doesn't quite match, but I'm just going to use it.
Did she not, friend John? Yes. Last night, we were just in time. One more so small child was missing, and we find it, thank God, unharmed amongst the graves. Yesterday, I came here before sundown. At sundown, the undead move. I waited here all night until the sun rose.
I don't have a color that matches, but this gray might do for now.
Just because I had laid over the clamps of those doors garlic, which the undead cannot bear, and other things, which they shun. Last night, there was no exit. So tonight, before the sundown, I took away my garlic and other things. And so it is we find this coffin empty. But bear with me. So far, there is much that is strange. Wait you with me outside. Unseen and unheard, and things much stranger are yet to be. So, here he shifts the dark slide of his lantern. Now, to the outside. He opened the door, and we find out. He coming last, and locking the door behind him. Oh, but it seemed fresh and pure in the night air after the terror of that vault. How sweet it was to see the clouds race by and the passing gleams of the moonlight between the scudding clouds, crossing and passing, like the gladness and sorrow of a man's life. How sweet it was to breathe the fresh air, that had no taint of death and decay. How humanizing to see the red light of the sky below, and to hear far away nothing more that marks the life of a great city. Each his own way was solemn, in both of them. Arthur was silent. It was, I could see, striving to grasp the purpose and the inner meaning of the mystery. I was myself tolerably patient, and half inclined again to throw aside doubt and to accept Van Helsing's conclusions. Quincy Morris was phlegmatic in the way of a man who accepts all things, and accepts them in the spirit of cool bravery, with hazard of all he has to stake. Not being able to smoke, he cut himself a good-sized plug of tobacco and began to chew. As to Van Helsing, he was employed in a definite way. First, he took from his bag a mass of what looked like thin, wafer-like biscuit, which was carefully rolled up in a white napkin. Next, he took out a double handful of some whitish stuff, like a dough or putty. He crumbled the wafer up fine and tucked it into the mass between his hands. This he then took, and rolling it into thin strips, began to lay them into the crevices between the doors, and its setting in the tomb. I was somewhat puzzled at this, and being close, asked him what it was that he was doing. Arthur and Quincy drew near also, as they too were curious. He answered, I am closing the tomb, so that the undead may not enter. Here is that stuff you've put there going to do it, asked Quincy. Great Scott! Was this a game? It is. What is that which you are using? This time the question was by Arthur. Van Helsing reverently nodded that. The host. I brought it from Amsterdam. I have an His answer was appalled, the most skeptical of us. And we felt individually that it was a sensation. I was the most secret of things. It was my answer. We respect the silence from the place to sight of his but him from the sight of anyone approaching. I pitied the others, especially Arthur. Myself, I, who had a felt my heart sink within me. Every tomb was secret, so you suddenly embodiment of funeral gloom. Every tree or grass sway or rustle so ominously. Every bough creak so mysteriously. And never did the faraway howling of dogs send such a woeful presage through the night. There was a long spell of silence, a big, aching void, and then from the professor a keen, Sus. He pointed, and far down the avenue of yews he saw a white figure advance. A dim white figure, which held something dark at its breast. The figure stopped, and at a moment a ray of moonlight fell between the masses of driving clouds, and showed in startling prominence a dark-haired woman, dressed in the cerements of the grave. We could not see the face, for it was bent down over what we saw to be a fair-haired child. There was a pause, and a sharp little cry, such as a child gives in sleep, or a dog as it lies before the fire in dreams. With the starting forward, the professor's warning hand, seen by us as he stood behind a yew tree, kept us back. And then, as we looked, the white figure moved forward. It was not clearly. It still held. My own heart Yes, of Arthur. The features of Lucy Westenra. Lucy Westenra. But yet how changed. The sweetness was turned to adamantine. Authority to violence. Van Helsing stepped out, and, obedient to his gesture, we all advanced too. Helsing raised his lantern and drew the slide. By the concentrated light that fell on Lucy's face, we could see that the lips were crimson with fresh blood. With the stream trickling down her chin, the authority of her lorn death robe. We shuddered with horror. I could see by the tremulous light that even Van Helsing's iron nerve had failed. Arthur was next to me, and if I had not seized his arm and held him up, he would have fallen. And Lucy, I called the thing that was before us Lucy because it bore her shape, saw us. She drew back with an angry snarl, such as a cat gives when Lucy's eyes in form and colour, but Lucy's eyes unclean and full of hellfire, as like the pure, gentle warmth of hell. At that moment, the remnant of my love passed into hate. She dared to be killed, I could have done it with savage delight. As she looked, her eyes blazed in a cold light, and her face became a voluptuous smile. Oh, God, how it made me shudder to see it. With a careless motion, she flung to the ground, callous as a devil, the child that up to now she had clutched strenuously to her breast, growling over it as a dog growls over a bone. The child gave a sharp cry, and lay there moaning. There was a cold-bloodedness in the act which wrung a groan from Arthur. When she advanced to him with outstretched arms and a wanton smile, he fell back and hid his face in his hands. She still advanced, however, with a languorous, voluptuous grace, saying, "Come to me, Arthur. Leave these others and come to me. My arms are hungry for you. We can rest together. Come. It's diabolically sweet in their tones. Something of the tingling of glass when struck, which rang through the brains even of us who heard the words addressed to another. As for Arthur, he seemed under a spell. Moving his hands from his face, he opened wide his arms. She was leaping for them, when Van Helsing sprang forward and held between them his golden crucifix. She recoiled from it, and with a suddenly distorted face full of rage, dashed past him as if to enter the tomb. When within a foot or two of the door, however, she stopped as if arrested by some irresistible force. Then she turned, and her face was shown in a clear burst of moonlight and by the lamp, which had now no quiver from Van Helsing's iron nerves. Never did I see such baffled malice on a face, and never, I trust, shall such ever be seen again by mortal eyes. The eyes seemed to float sparks of hellfire. The brows were against the flesh were coils of Medusa snakes. With the lovely whiteness grew to an open square, as in the passion dances of the Greeks. If ever a face met death, if lux could kill, we saw it at that moment. And so, for full half a minute, which seemed an eternity, she remained between the lifted crucifix and the sacred closing of her means of entry. Asking Arthur, "Answer me, O my friend, I to proceed in my work? Arthur threw himself on his knees and hid his face in his hands as he answered, do as you will, friend. Do as you will. No horror like this ever before. He groaned. Quincy and I simultaneously moved towards him and took his arms. We could hear the click of the closing lantern as Van Helsing held it down. Coming close to the tomb, he began to remove from the chinks some of the sacred emblem which he had placed there. We all looked on in horrified amazement as we saw, when he stood back, the woman, with a corporeal body as real at that moment as our own, pass in through the interstices where scarce a knife blade could have gone. We all felt a glad sense of relief when we saw the professor calmly restoring the strings of putty to the edges of the door.
What happened to the kid?
When this was
Is it just laying there in the graveyard?
and said,
Okay, there.
"Oh, right, my friends, we can do no more until tomorrow. There is a funeral at noon, so here we shall all come before long after that. The friends of the dead will all be gone by 2, and when the sexton lock the gate, we shall remain. Then there is more to do, but not like this of tonight. As for this little one, he is not much harm, and by tomorrow night he shall be well. We shall leave him where the police will find him, as on the other night, and then to home." Coming close to Arthur, he said, "My friend Arthur, you have had sore trial. But after, when you will look back, you will see now it was necessary. You are now in the bitter waters, my child. By this time tomorrow you will, please God, have passed them, and have drunk of the sweet waters. So do not mourn overmuch. Arthur and Quincy came home with me. We tried to cheer each other on the way. We left the child inside, very tired. So we all slept more or less quality of sleep. "29th of September. 9. Just before 12, Arthur, Quincy Morris, and myself called for the professor.
Oh, we've passed
It was
today's
not to notice that
timeline.
by common consent we all put on white clothes. Arthur, I think morning. Else, we knew it by instinct. We got to the churchyard by 1:30. We strolled about. Without observation. The had completed their tasks at 6. Pleased that everyone had gone. We locked the gate. We had the plates all to ourselves. Van Helsing, instead of his little black bag, had with him a long leather one. Something like a cricketing bag. It was manifestly of fair weight. When we were alone, and had heard the last of the footsteps die out of the road, we silently, as if by ordered intention, followed the professor to the tomb. He unlocked the door, and we entered, closing it behind us. Then he took from his bag the lantern, which he lit, and also 2 wax candles, which, when lighted, he stuck, lighting their ends, in the coffins, so that they might have light sufficient to burn up. When he again lifted the lid off Lucy's Arthur, trembling like an aspen, saw the body lay there in all its death beauty. There was no love in her heart. The thing which had taken Lucy's shape without her soul. I could see even Arthur's face grow hard as he looked. I said to Van Helsing, "Is this a demon in her shape?" "It is her body, and yet not it. You shall see her as she was, and is." She seemed like a nightmare of Lucy as she lay there. The pointed teeth, the blood-stained, voluptuous mouth, that just made one shudder to see. The whole carnal and unspiritual appearance seemed like a devilish mockery of Lucy's sweet purity. Van Helsing, with his usual methodicalness, began taking the various contents from his bag and placing them ready for use. First, he took out a soldering iron and some plumb solder, and then a small oil lamp, which gave out, when laid in the corner of the tomb, gas which burned at fierce heat with a blue flame. Then his operating knives, which he placed to hand. At last, a round wooden stake, some 2.5 or 3 inches thick and about 3 feet long. One end of it was hardened by charring the fire. It was sharpened to a fine point. With the stake came a heavy hammer, such as in households is used in the coal cellar for breaking the lumps. To me, the doctor's preparations for work of any kind are stimulating and bracing. But the effect of these things on poor Arthur and Quincy was to cause them a sort of consternation. They both, however, kept their courage, and remained silent and quiet. When all was ready, Van Helsing said, "Before we do anything, let me tell you all this. It is out of the lore and experience of the ancients, and of all those who have studied the powers of the undead. When they become such, there comes with the change the curse of immortality. They cannot die, but must go on age after age, adding new victims, and multiplying the evils of the world. For all that die from the preying of the undead become themselves undead, and prey on their kind. And so the circle goes on ever widening, like as the ripples from a stone thrown in the water. Friend Arthur, if you had met that kiss which you know of before poor Lucy died, or again last night when you opened your arms to her, you would, in time, when you had died, have become Nosferatu, as they call it in Eastern Europe, and would all time make more of those undeads that so have filled us with horror. The career of this so unhappy dear lady is but just begun. Those children whose blood she suck are not as yet so much the worse. But if she live on, undead, more and more they lose their blood, and by her power over them they come to her. And so she draw their blood with that so wicked mouth. But if she die, in truth, then all cease. The tiny wounds of the throats disappear, and they go back to their plays unknowing ever of what has been. But of the most blessed of all, when this now undead be made to rest as true dead, then the soul of the poor lady whom we love shall again be free. Instead of working wickedness by night and growing more debased in the assimilation of it by day, she shall take her place with the other angels. So that, my friend, it will be a blessed hand for her that shall strike the blow that sets her free. It is this I am willing. But is there none amongst us who has a better right? Will it be no joy to think of hereafter in the silence of the night when sleep is not? It was my hand that sent her to the stars. It was the hand of him that loved her best. The hand that of all she would herself have chosen, had it been to her to choose. Tell me if there be such a one amongst us. We all looked at Arthur. He saw too what we all did. The infinite kindness had suggested that he should be the hand which would restore Lucy to us as a holy, not an unholy memory.
Dude, don't do that to the
Stepped
poor
forward
man.
and said bravely, though his hand trembled, and his face was as pale as snow. My true friend, from the bottom of my broken heart, I thank you. Tell me what I am to do, and I shall not falter.
He's gonna
I placed
falter.
my hand on his shoulder and said,
He's gonna fucking falter so fucking hard.
a moment's courage, and it is done. This stake must be driven through her. It will be a fearful ordeal, be not deceived in that. But it will be only a short time, and you will then rejoice more than your pain was great. From this grim tomb you will emerge as though you tread on air. But you must not falter when once you have begun. Only think that we, your true friends, are around you, and that we pray for you all the time. Go on, said Arthur hoarsely. Tell me what I am to do. Take this stake in your left hand, ready to place the point over the heart, and the hammer in your right.
I'm ready.
Then, when we begin our prayer for the dead,
Whack.
we shall read him I have here the book, and the others shall follow. Strike in God's name, that so all may be well with the dead that we love, and that the undead pass away. Arthur took the stake and the hammer, and when once his mind was set on action, his hands never trembled, nor even quivered. Van Helsing opened his missal and began to read, and Quincy and I followed as well as we could. Arthur placed the point over the heart, and as I looked, I could see its dint in the white flesh. Then he struck with all his might.
Ooh, you gonna do it?
The thing in the coffin writhed, and a hideous, blood-curdling screech came from the opened red lips. The body shook and quivered and twisted in wild contortions. The sharp white teeth champed together till the lips were the crimson foam. But Arthur never faltered.
I'm impressed.
One trembling arm rose and burned. The blood from the pierced heart welled and spurted up around it. His face was set, and the sight it gave us courage, so that our voices seemed to ring through the little vault. And then the writhing and quivering of the body became less. The teeth ceased to chatter, and the face to quiver. And still, the terrible task was over. The hammer fell from Arthur's hand. He reeled and would have fallen had we not caught him. And had he not been forced his task by more than human considerations, he could never have gone through with it. For a few minutes, we were so taken up with him that we did not look towards the coffin.
Uh-oh.
When we did, however, a murmur of startled surprise ran from one to the other of us. We gazed so eagerly that Arthur rose. He had been seated on the ground and came and looked too. And then, a glad, strange light broke over his face and dispelled altogether the gloom of horror that lay upon it. There, in the coffin, lay no longer the foul thing that we had so dreaded and grown to hate, that the work of her destruction was yielded as a privilege to the one best entitled to it. As Lucy, as we had seen her in life, called sweetness. But there was there, as we had seen in life, the traces of care and pain and waste. These were all dear to us. The truth. All in all, we felt the calm that lay like the sunshine against the face and form. It was only a powerful token and symbol of the calm that was to reign forever. Van Helsing came and laid his hand on Arthur's shoulder and said to him, "And now, Arthur, my friend, am I not forgiven?" The reaction of his his lips pressed it and said, "Forgiven? God bless you that you have given my dear one her soul again." His hands on Professor's shoulder, laying his head on his hands, cried for a while silently, whilst we stood unmoving. When he raised his head, Van Helsing said to him, "And now, my child, you may kiss her. Kiss her dead lips, if you will, as she would have you do if for her to choose.
Dude, she's been dead for a week.
A grinning devil now,
Probably starting
not
to...
any more a foul thing for all eternity. No longer she is the devil's foul. He is true. Who is with him." Arthur bent and kissed her. And then we sent him and Quincy out of the tomb. The professor had saw at the top of the stick, leaving the point of it in the body. Then we cut off the head and filled the mouth with garlic. We soldered up the leaden coffin, screwed on the coffin lid, and gathering up our belongings, came away. Outside, the air was smooth, the sun shone, and the birds sang. It had seemed as if all nature were tuned to a different pitch. There was gladness and mirth and peace everywhere. For we were at rest ourselves on one account, and we were glad, though it was with a tempered joy. Before we moved away, Van Helsing said, "Now, my friends, one step of our work is done, one the most harrowing to ourselves. But there remains a greater task. Find the author of all this our sorrows. that we can follow, but it is a long task, and a difficult, and there is danger in it, and pain. Shall you not all help me? We have learned to believe, all of us, is it not so? And since so, do we not see our duty? Yes. And do we not promise to go on to the bitter end? Each in turn, we took his hand. The promise was made. As we moved on. The night's end shall meet at the indictment at 7 o'clock. I shall entreat two others, two that you know not as yet, and I shall be ready to all our work and our plans unfold. Friend John, you come with me home, for I have much to consult about and you can help me. Tonight I leave for Amsterdam, but shall return tomorrow night. And then begins our great quest.
Dun dun dun.
But first I shall have much to say, so that you may know what is to do and to dread. Then our promise shall be made to each other anew, for there is a terrible task before us. And once our feet are on the plowshare, we must not draw back.
The piano. Oopsie. Oh, snippy, snippy.
When we arrived at the Berkeley Hotel, Van Helsing found a telegram waiting for him. Jonathan at Whitby. Important news. That was the one of them. Ah, that wonderful Madame Mina, he said. Pearl among women. She arrived, but I cannot stay. She must go to your house, friend John. You must meet her at the station. Telegraph her en route, so that she may be prepared. When the wine was dispatched, he had a cup of tea. Over it, he told me the diary kept by Jonathan Harker when abroad, and gave me a typewritten copy of it, as also of Mrs. Harker's diary at Whitby. Take these, he said, and study them well. When I have returned, you will be master of all the facts, and we can then better enter our position. In them. You will need all your faith, even you who have had such an experience as that one. Bravely on the back. The beginning of the end, many another, or it may sound the knell of the undead that walk the earth. Read all. So, for it is all important. You have kept my eye. Such things. Yes, and we shall go through all of these when that we meet.
Okay.
We made ready for its departure, and shortly after drove off to Liverpool Street.
That is the stroke of midnight. Oh, I'm gonna call it. I got these done, and I'll hopefully finish these 2 bats tomorrow, maybe another 1 or 2. I'm gonna start some hours soon at my job. They're going to be night shifts, so overnight, like 10 to 6 or something like that. So I'm not sure how that's gonna affect the live streams. Might have to do it way earlier in the day after I get off work, because my plan right now is to like sleep until 10, go to work. Work gets off about 7, and then stay up probably till about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then go back to sleep, and then get up at 10 and go back to work. So that's the plan. Don't know how that's going to work, but it is what it is for right now. I need some monies to pay some billies. But yes, thanks everyone for stopping in. Glad you guys hung out for a while. And we will continue making shit tomorrow night, probably. Maybe tomorrow day. Maybe I'll be ambitious enough to actually come down in the middle of the day and do some stuff. Ha ha, silly me. Alright, good night everyone. Sleep dreams. Watch out for old people driving.